Okay, I suppose we are ready to start. Yeah. Okay, dear participants, welcome to the webinar, Project Management at Universities from Local to Global. Today's webinar is organized in collaboration with IPMA Special Interest Group SmarterU, and it is held within the 32nd IPMA World Congress in Project Management, which will be held offline in St. Petersburg and online from 21 to 22 September 2021. My name is Veniamin Kizeev. I am a director of the 32nd IPMA World Congress and global head of SmarterU SIG IPMA. And today I'm moderating this webinar. The webinar will take 1 hour and a half, I suppose. A recording of the webinar will be sent to participants and posted on the Congress website. There will be 3 speakers today, great speakers, and after speakers' presentation, there will be a discussion. Please be active, ask questions in the chat room during the speaker's presentation, ask questions by voice if you want at the designing time, and of course, comment of the speaker's presentation in the chat. Okay, I see that we are ready, and now I give the floor to Mladen Vukomanović, professor at the Faculty of Civil Engineering, University of Zagreb, State. He is IPMA Vice President. Today, Mladen will give a presentation on building the global project profession. Mladen, glad to see you today, and I give you a microphone and all rules for presentation.
Thank you, Vladimir. Okay, so thank you, Veniamin. Thank you also for inviting me here at the Smarter University SIG. From the start, from the very initiation of this SIG, it's a really young SIG and emerging, but what you have said so nicely, and you had hit the nail on the head, is that we currently have more than 20,000 universities, education institutions, or research institutions that are teaching or developing project management, right? And Veniamin, was it 500,000 of students currently being taught in project management, right? So it's a big market, it's a big environment, it's a big, I would say, context that we are approaching and that we need to attend to, and we need to understand as the vital part of building the global profession, right? My name is Mladen Vukomanović, as Veniamin just introduced me. Thank you for that. Currently, I obtained the function of Vice President for Professional Development. I will talk briefly today about what professional development is and how a person evolves to be into a professional, into a what we call in IPMA a project professional. And this is something what you will see from the presentation is something that you not just get after finishing your studies, but actually what you acquire throughout your lifetime. I would say it's a long life learning, and this learning comes from various sources, not just from formal education, but also from your professional work, from your networking, from events such as this, from volunteering in special interest groups and networking. So it's all comes together into what we call professional development, right? I also work and have worked in construction a lot. By vocation, I'm a construction engineer. And besides teaching and researching at the university, also I'm involved with a couple of construction and oil and gas currently projects, building a refinery in Croatia and abroad. And so I think this is really important to understand that both ends, education, academic, but also professional part of your career are important for building a global profession. We are all here under the governance of IPMA. I'm really proud that IPMA governs such a important special interest group, which targets at so many people, so many professors, researchers, professionals, students that all revolve around smarter education and education sector in project management. Just briefly about IPMA, it's almost 60 years from the initiation and founding of IPMA. So we were the first international organization, association founded for promoting, developing the discipline of project management. And ever since 1965, IPMA was here to promote, to develop, to produce standards in project management. Currently, we have 72 countries who are part of IPMA and belong to IPMA family and cherish, nurture, and promote IPMA values. SOVNET is one of our, I would say, top MAs in IPMA. SOVNET has a long tradition and is a very important part of IPMA, and I think to have such a SIG only makes us proud that SOVNET is contributing to the IPMA family in such a good way, especially Veniamin here. Besides just doing the SIG and organizing such a great event, he's also doing great stuff in the World Congress and directing and managing the World Congress. I will also touch the World Congress in a short while. We have more than 300,000 certified project managers, or I would say better, project professionals. Now we certify in projects, programs, and portfolios. It's not just a project environment. We are based in Switzerland, somewhere I would say like Red Cross, UN, neutral grounds, but basically the registration in Switzerland, in Zurich, doesn't mean that we are Swiss, we are international, we are global, and we belong to the 72 countries. So please get involved with IPMA. We have a lot to offer. We are not for profit, we are not corporate, and we are here to provide knowledge, to provide networking, to provide job opportunities, to teach, to learn, to educate, and basically develop you as project professionals. But before I get into the numbers of why project profession is so important, I would like just to have some 5-10 minutes and speak what is a profession, what is a discipline, and what it is that we call a project profession. So profession is a discipline group of individuals, right? And they need to adhere to ethical standards and hold themselves as special, a group of people who possess special knowledge and skills. We do that in projects, we do that in programs and portfolio, we do that in the project environment, project profession. We possess these special competencies, unlike other people who are not educated, who are not trained, and who are not, I would say, perfected in practice. And we therefore possess special competencies which are proven to when applied, derive better results, deliver satisfactory outcomes, and meet the required objectives. So actually the special competencies that we have are something that actually really I would say identify us as people who know how to apply methods, tools, knowledge, and abilities to deliver, to satisfy our customers, to be responsible to the society, and to basically act professional and adhere to ethical standards. So basically, we are here to apply these competencies in the interest of others. The competencies that we use, the knowledge that we use, belong to body of knowledge, which was derived from education, training, research, but also it emerged through the profession. And these competencies are something that put us apart from the people who maybe do not have these competencies, do not have them. So basically, if we adhere to such ethical standards, if we show and demonstrate that we're responsible to the society, and if we show the ethics, trust, and expertise, and demonstrate the competencies which derive from a special standard of body of knowledge, we can say we are professionals. If all of this is done in the project environment, in project domain, then we say we are project professionals. Currently, IPMA is promoting the project profession and actually is providing a lot of sources of your professional development on how you become a project professional, right? So there are certain qualifications, there are certain credentials, there are certain moral obligations that you need to adhere to the ethical standards I just spoke about. And actually there are some codes and codes of conduct which are enforced by the profession and are acknowledged and accepted by the community. This community in IPMA is more than 300,000 certified project professionals and more than 60,000 of members. So basically, we have quite a big responsibility to demonstrate and to show competence and to show ethics when practicing project management. A project professional is a member of a project management community. So whether it's IPMA or some other associations, professional associations in project management, we therefore serve as someone, as an indicator, as a beacon of ethics, of trust, of integrity, and we are competent to deliver project results. You know, you have many definitions of what project management is. I really like the short definition that do your job or deliver your job. And basically, usually our clients are not interested in the competencies we use or the tools and methods we conduct. They're only interested that we deliver on time and meet their requirements and satisfy their needs. So basically, project management is someone who delivers, who is reliable, who is trustful, who is ethical, and has integrity. Here you can see on this slide many different credentials and sources of which proves you to be a project professional, whether you are certified. Hold on. Where you're certified in IPMA, you can see here from SOVNET or Croatian Association. You can find in IPMA market trend survey, salary trend survey, you're part of these surveys, or you basically belong to a best practice of the year award, or you adhere to the ethical standards, or you are a member of IPMA National Member Association such as SOVNET. This is the logo of SOVNET. And you attend the events in project management such as 32nd IPMA World Congress. So basically, all of this makes you project professional. It's not just the basic education. It's not just your basic certification. It's not just being part of some professional institution, but it's actually getting the credentials, getting certified, being part of the network of project professionals globally, attending the conferences, attending the events, and basically growing in time and have some long life life development of your professional competencies. Why is this important? Because in IPMA, we say that there are 3 types of different competencies. We say that there are practical, that technical competencies, methods, tools, something that can be applied. We have transversal or people or behavioral competencies, how you manage yourself, how you manage others, how you work in teams, how you work in groups, in organizational settings. And also we have some sort of a strategic perspective, contextual competencies of basically you working and operating in a larger context. And basically all of the 3 types of competencies are important, and basically they change. And their importance change how you progress in your career from operational level onto the top management level. So on the graphic, on the figure shown here, you can see that basically at the top management level, it's assessed that less than 10% of competencies are used from the technical group of competencies, and the most of it belongs to the perspective and contextual. And maybe in the middle management, it's most about the people, it's most about the behavioral, it's the most about the social stuff. So this is why it's important to be constant in contact with the book of knowledge, the standards, but also attend events, conferences, but also network with other project professionals, benchmark the good practices, because you need to evolve. You need to constantly keep track of how the profession develops, and you need to constantly be up to date with the new learnings, new achievements, new developments in education, in professional standards. Why is this important? Current research show that by 2027, employers will need 87 million of individuals working in project management oriented roles, right? If you look at how it's spread throughout different industry, basically mostly project management belongs to manufacturing and construction, right? But it's also IT, it's also finance, insurance, it's also the other professional services, utilities, oil and gas, so are maybe the leading sectors in the next 5 years, which will have a great need of people such as you, people who are project professionals, who know how to demonstrate ethics, integrity, credibility, and demonstrate their competencies for meeting the requirements, right? So basically almost 2 million of new project-oriented roles each year emerge globally. So it's a big market, it's a big environment, and the competencies that we develop are transversal. So it's not that rare that people are basically migrating from one industry to the next and basically benchmarking and learning and becoming a project professionals set for different industries. IPMA expectations is once you get certified, you need to be able to demonstrate at least 35 hours annually of this continuing professional development, which comes from formal education, such as universities, such as schools, business schools, something which gives you formal qualification, but also non-formal professional development, which is participating at trainings, at education courses, at seminars, something, workshops, right? But also informal professional development, where you participate in projects, where you volunteer in organizations such as IPMA, but you also participate in events such as this one, right? So all of this contributes to your project professional competencies, right? So it's not just enough to get certified, as you can see from the 2 pictures, but it's also important that you have a constant annual contact with your project profession. So basically, when you look at the annual global economy and how it's handled, its current assessments are basically saying that almost 1/3 of the global economy is handled through projects, right? So, I mean, if you think of it, it's quite a large number because projects are usually unique and not repeatable endeavors. So basically, a lot belongs to the development, not maybe just research, but it's always higher innovation. It's always more to give in terms of time, in terms of cost, in terms of quality, in terms of success, long-term success. So we are getting more and more constraints as the time passes, and the market is more, I think, constrained and pressured. So the 1/3 of the global economy belongs to project. It actually means that there is a really high amount of the development currently in the world. And this is why I think that project profession is maybe of a utmost importance for the future development. Fortune magazine at the end of the millennium said that while engineers were maybe the profession of the 20th century, project managers are the profession of the 21st century, right? Because it's not enough that you just have your own primary vocation of an engineer or a finance expert or a lawyer. It's now you need to comprehend and understand all of these three types of competencies and work in teams, work in projects, and deliver multidisciplinary objectives, right? Standards, associations, approaches differ, right? But the competencies are always the same. So this is why we in IPMA promote the standard of competencies. We are not so interested in the approach, in the method, in the process you follow. We are interested that you can demonstrate all three types of competencies, that you develop yourself in all three groups. You saw from the slide that these groups vary on different positions, different hierarchies, and basically this is why we have standardized approach in competencies. We publish competencies, and every 5 to 10 years we develop new standards in competencies, right? All of these reasons basically lead me to the conclusion that project management actually needs to be a vital part of any education, whether you are a nurse, a physician, a lawyer, IT expert, or a construction engineer, because nowadays you work in teams, you work in multidisciplinary teams, you need to meet multidisciplinary requirements, and you need to understand how to build on top of your primarily vocation project management competencies, right? More of this will be provided in St. Petersburg. I believe that Veniamin will also promote more about the World Congress. We will have a special part of the World Congress dedicated to sessions coming from SIGS, and this SIGS Minor U will also provide a lot at the World Congress, so we will touch also the education and professional development in St. Petersburg. I'm really looking forward to St. Petersburg World Congress. I give my every recommendation to register, to participate. If you cannot travel because of COVID, you can register and participate online, but please be sure not to miss this best, I would say, event, project management event of the year. And I'm sure that our friends from Russia will make it the best one yet in IPMA roster of World Congresses. My email is just Mladen at IPMA World. If you were to have any questions, just drop me an email, and I hope we can all get engaged. We can build a project profession together, and I really thank you for listening to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mladen, for this helicopter view. It's really interesting what's going on in profession. And also, dear friends, if you have any question or comments, write in the chat or just raise your hands. I see your hands. Great, Eric. Eric, your first question. Put on your microphone.
Sorry, I forgot the mic. It's regarding project management in public sector. I did not see this in the industry review. My impression, at least in Sweden, is that most projects are done in public sector, from everything, schooling, hospitals, transport, administration at all kind, national, regional, local level. What do you say on that, Mladen?
Well, it depends, Eric. It depends. For example, in south of Europe, southeast, for example, industries, project-oriented industries such as oil and gas, manufacturing, and construction usually take about 75 to 80% of the global economy, which is directly financed through the public sector. For example, in Southeast Europe, it's European Union. Maybe in China, it's a different financing structure. But I don't know, maybe Ding is here from China, maybe he can explain the Chinese case. But if you scale this to UK, there's just the opposite. About 25% of investments from public sector are going into the construction sector, and 75 are coming from the private, because railroads, ICT are usually privatized and handled by private concessions, right? So, for example, also in some countries now in Latin America, in the States also, but in Europe, governments are basically requiring certification and project management professional credentials, and are standardizing the ways how to manage projects. So basically, yes, project management is very important in public sector. There are green books, there are standards, there are guidelines, and there are credentials that you need to obtain before you get the chance to get the public money and manage a project. Yeah.
Could it be that in the statistics, a lot of public projects are not picked up because they don't regard themselves as project? But if we just take healthcare, which is a big running of hospital, digitalization of hospital, all this, there are enormous amount of project in each country. Some countries maybe have privatized, but many countries have this in public sector, the same as education. So there are so many projects. And if I just take my university in Sweden, I think more than 50% of our students work in public sector in projects, which are maybe not the big fancy projects that requires million each, but altogether, if you add it up, it's quite a big part of the GDP, I think.
Yes, but I think it depends largely on the economy and the financing governance model, right? You know, some countries have a really private, I would say, open market, capitalistic structure where a lot of private concessions are given to private entities, right? Public concessions are given to public entities, to private entities, and therefore it's a private-public partnerships. And of course, if it's infrastructure, it's always public who is in the project, right? Because infrastructure always belongs to public, even though you, Eric, got it for 30 years to invest and break even and profit, but still it's public, right? So, and I also really agree with you that projects, I mean, I come from construction sector, so where you build a bridge or a house, it belongs to public for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Whoever buys that flat, apartment, or drives on that bridge basically is affected. So it's always a public responsibility, and the ethics and the integrity that we as project professionals need to demonstrate and show, right? So we have a lot of responsibility. We are still not disciplined. We are still not disciplined, such as maybe lawyers or physicians, that we have some credentials which gives us special rights on the market and which can be suspended. But in some countries, for example, Mexico, they asked a certificate to be shown before you enter a project. For example, also in Croatia, for managing a public construction project, you need to be certified. And if this certification was suspended, you wouldn't be able to manage a public construction project, right? So in some countries, actually, profession is emerging into a discipline where, and this is something that we all need to aspire, right? That we become a project professional discipline, and where only the best one get the rights and the ability to demonstrate their competencies. Right?
Thank you, Mladen and Eric. We have two more presentations, and we will have more time for our discussion. But Mladen, I need to ask you one more question. Today, we have a lot of people from universities here on webinar, and I know that you have a lot of contacts with many universities around the world, like Vice President. And what do you think? What the main challenge? What universities need to change to be more productive, to develop profession like project management? What they need to change? What's your idea?
That's a great question, Veniamin. And I'm really not satisfied, for example, how universities are still, I think, dated in their curriculums and syllabuses of each of the courses, and usually they produce an engineer, they produce a lawyer, they produce a mechanical engineer. But what I think that we need to change the vocation and the competencies that people get from finishing a study by thinking more how market evolves and how the profession evolves, that you develop a project professional, that you think of the final product, that you think of what is actually needed at the market. So while engineers, for example, were needed in 20th century, now the market doesn't need a specialist in structural engineering. They need someone who understands types of projects and types of buildings and special requirements for the market, which can be. So for example, in electrical cars, right? E-cars are now becoming a big industry. But if you go to mechanical engineering faculties around the world, not many are teaching students how to build electronic cars. So therefore, because they need to cooperate with different disciplines, they need to understand different knowledge coming from different educational sectors. And what is now happening is that private companies, IT companies, gaming, entertainment industry are basically building their own schools, building their own universities, and trying to teach students for what they need, actually. And the current educational system is becoming really dated. You have Ding here from China. I believe you also have a lot of people from China. And Huawei, for example, they have their own university, right, where they teach and research people and directing them towards their needs. So this is why I feel that, and I've written on the last slide, that project management needs to become a vital part of every education, and which will open the higher context for professors, but also for students.
Thank you, Mladen. Thank you for this point. You know that universities not only teach about project management, but also universities made a lot of project, scientific innovation, and also social and organization transformation, and so on. And I know that Vladimir Obradović, our next speaker, prepared some information about this. And the next speaker is Vladimir Obradović, IPMA Serbia President, member of various bodies in International Project Organization, and professor at the University of Belgrade, Faculty of Organization Science. Vladimir, nice to see you today.
Yeah, nice to see you here also. I'm very glad to be here today. Dobar dan svima, drago mi je da sam ovde. Ja hoću rad biti здесь сегодня. So I always like discussing these topics with you, Venya, and within this group. Today, I prepared something quite new and something that has never been publicly presented so far. So this is some sort of premiere of what I will be showing. Since we have a limited time, I will start straight away with my presentation. Unfortunately, I don't have one beautiful slide with my photo like Mladen, but I will prepare that for the future when I sort out my beard and everything. Well, anyway, in the past 2 or 3 years, we've been working and researching on how to improve strategic project-oriented management at science, research, and educational organizations, basically what university covers. Here in Serbia, but also in the region, we have quite large universities with a lot of entities within. For instance, Belgrade University, that is the biggest and oldest in Serbia, has more than 30 organizations within. When I say organization, I mean faculties and schools, faculties, and scientific institutes, but also technology transfer centers and other facilities. So having in mind such a big entity, it's really important to establish certain framework where those organizations can combine their competencies and work together towards their joint goals and objectives. So I will be talking today about briefly about project-oriented university, the management specifics at universities, about the model that we have developed and pre-tested, and of course what that model could bring to universities and R&D institutions. So as you all know, I will not keep in detail to this slide. The societies are getting more and more projectified, as we saw from Mladen's presentation, but also from the discussion afterwards. Project management is everywhere. Basically, you cannot think of private, public, non-profit organization that could operate without solid competencies in project management. According to the research that were done in several countries, on average, 30% of the work is performed through projects in education only. Also, a fast technological development and all other development that are constituted in Industry 4 forces universities to think of some new way of doing things, of new modus operandi. This is particularly important because the great majority of universities are old organizations. Like whenever we represent our universities or universities that are visiting, they say, well, we are 200 years old, 300 years old, etc. So basically, the tradition and traditional way of operations could be, to some extent, a burden and obstacle for prompt development. And of course, a lot of, or I may say in Europe mostly, universities are public, and hence they have substantial administration and a lot of procedures that are sometimes too bureaucratic for them, and they stop them developing in a proper way. So we need to change that, and we need to make universities more agile, more innovative, to improve their agility, taking into account triple helix or whatever other model. We need to foster cooperation with environment, with economy representatives, industry, public institutions, non-governmental sectors, and non-governmental organization and other sectors. And of course, we need to speed up operations and improve the performance of universities. But when we talk about, when we talk about universities, we must take into account some specific aspects of management there. First of all, the purpose of the universities is scientific and educational, so they have specifics, but they also have general goals, because the universities in their mission, they're established for helping society and economy grow. So their goals are not in, I don't know, some specific scientific areas, but they have to contribute to overall goals of each society where they're performing. The financing is often from public funds, since most of the universities are public funded. And on that side, we need to be secure that autonomy of the universities is maintained, because funding should not influence the autonomy of research, development, education, etc. Because universities are really critical for economic and societal growth, and therefore we need to think of more diverse sources of financing. So obviously, from all what we see, there is a strong need for strategic alignment. Strategic alignment with the environment, with society, on a high level, but also keeping independence on an operational level, because independence and autonomy is crucial and vital for development of universities. So we should also think about incorporating new models, and today more and more universities or their research programs are funded from private funds, but there is also a certain amount of authors like Thies that suggest that there is no solid model for private financing, and that if lean only on private financing, the universities and research would lose the independence and the autonomy, because they would become some sort of subcontractors in terms of R&D and education. And also, talking about specifics at universities, human resources, people working at the universities, and organizational culture is quite different when we compare it to other organizations, especially ones from the for-profit sector. The way of thinking, working, ethics, it's quite different, and we need to take that into account when developing new model. So taking into account all this, we've been working on how to develop a new model, and we incorporated a lot of theories. Some of them are represented here on this slide. So we used resource-based theory, where of course universities have, like classic capital, land, buildings, equipment, etc. But the most important resource of modern universities should and is definitely the knowledge of the university, knowledge of people working there, but also organizational knowledge. Then also some theories regarding dynamic capabilities and abilities of universities showed that if we increase stakeholder interaction and interrelations of employees, we could build better plans and increase our performance and performance management in general. So if we want to develop a good model, we really need to think about this interaction and try to build a model that would enhance that. Complexity theories emphasize especially social and behavioral aspects in specific sectors. Energy is one of them, to increase the quality of management. And of course, there are theories regarding open systems that emphasize the importance of environment, a close connection and cooperation with environment, and to some extent aligning organizations' activities, projects, and portfolio with the environment they're working in. So based on that, here on a slide, you can see a model that we have developed and pre-tested. It is also a result of the long research, and it was published just recently in a book called Strategic Project Management in R&D Institutions. So it goes from in-depth analysis and connection with the environment, then some strategic planning where we develop portfolio at the university, and then transfer that to specific more detailed project plans. More into detail, this is now specific, for instance, for EU region and countries that are assessing EU. When we want to develop a plan for one organization, university in this case, we need to take into account European and other regional strategies. For instance, when we were working on that, we were leaning on, at that time, it was Active Europe 2020, for instance, strategy, and some others, but also to take into account overall national and sectoral strategies. What do we mean by sectoral strategies? Like what the country or region is planning to do in tourism, agriculture, IT, and other areas of development. So to align our plans with what is nationally recognized and important. Of course, all that has to be fit into some sort of legal framework. On top of that, we also need to take into account the opinions and the needs of citizens and society as a whole. And like previously was mentioned after Mladen's presentation, public sector needs, NGOs, profit companies, and other important entities in society. Of course, in terms of environment, we need to take into account what other similar organizations are doing, the scientific institutes, universities, faculties, R&D organizations, etc. That's all regarding external environment. When we talk about something that we like to call internal environment, we have to test and examine and analyze our internal resources, both tangible and intangible, meaning hard, old school resources like buildings and equipment, but also the potential, the know-how, the knowledge, tacit knowledge in particular, and take that all together in order to develop proper plans in terms of strategy and projects. Here we see competencies and abilities of universities are very important, and that's where we make a connection afterwards with what was Mladen saying about professional development, because we need to develop both organizational and personal abilities in project management for universities. Once we did all of these analysis, we can now develop strategic part of the university governance and develop all these things that are very well known, and I will not go into detail, which would be vision, mission, goals, strategy. So develop one strategic plan, and there, when we did all this analysis and set up some strategic goals and priorities, we can start working on a project portfolio consisted of programs and projects. When we analyze the project portfolio of universities, similar to what Eric mentioned about hospitals. Majority of the projects at universities are based on or should tackle research and development. And those I would, in my personal opinion, say that are the core projects of each university. But next to that, we have, digitalization, introducing new software, developing people, internship projects, different cooperation projects with companies, etc. But when we think about the mission of the universities, I think that the core projects are ones in the area of research and development. That's basically where the universities are founded for. And then they, of course, those new knowledge transfer to education. Once we establish the portfolio, we can go more into detailed planning and develop specific concepts in the university, establish PMOs or other types of organization within the universities. Of course, monitor the progress, develop all kinds of reports needed. And what is very important after each project, to perform evaluation and gather lessons learned in order to improve our process in the next phase. Very important is this, to my opinion, this knowledge management system, because what we learn from one project, to be honest, very often is not transferred to another project within the same organization, let alone to the similar organization within the university. So, for instance, one faculty or group of faculties could have a very successful, Horizon or some other project, but the lessons learned from that project never reach some other faculties within the same universities. And if we want to progress and be more agile and improve our performance, we need to tackle that issues and work on a knowledge management system within the university, which should be basically the temple of knowledge. So what would be the benefits of the model? First of all, if one university adopts this model, more or less customized, it creates the prerequisite, the base for systematic professional development in the project management area of the university, of its members, and of its staff. Of course, it creates possibility for monitoring relations between outputs of the projects and the impacts on the environment in one systematic way, because sometimes we have that, but in the small portions across various university departments. In this way, we can actually create the possibility that we monitor the influence of one university to the society it's operating in. Of course, it can help that we improve a practical application of research and development results, because with this open approach, when we interact with the public sector, private companies, NGO more, when we develop our strategies based on the needs that we have recognized, of course, the practical application of research would increase, which would lead, of course, to technology transfer to be better and easier. The next bullet is also very important. When applying the model of this kind, we can help improve all elements of organizational design. What does it mean? Organizational positioning of project management function, motivation, teamwork, innovation, all actually important elements of organizational management and design. So it's really important to have this in very systematic way. And once we introduce the model like this, or similar one, we will have to improve it. We will have to find out what are the good and bad aspects of that model are. And in that way, throughout the years to continually improve our performance and to share knowledge within the universities, but also with other universities that are working similar way. So I tried to keep up to 20 minutes. It was 19 minutes, this presentation. So now, I don't know, Venya, would we have some questions now or afterwards?
Thank you, Vladimir. I suppose it's a really great model. And I understand that it's not only lesson learned, for example, inside university, because my thought, I always thinking about this, that, for example, in Russia, we also have a lot of public university, more than 500. And sharing lesson learned between universities, it's a really simple idea, yes, but it doesn't work now. It really doesn't work. And it's really cool that you told about this point in your model. But my question, very, very simple. What's about implementation? You start use this model in your university or no?
Yeah, well, this was part of the research within our university. Now we developed this model. We tested parts of it through in some like piloting in some institutes, and now there is a agreement that we should start implementing a Center for Project Excellence at the university, and also based on this model, and at some faculties. We actually are in the moment of electing new rector. So the elections are in May now, and once we get the new top management of the university for the next 3 years, we will proceed with the implementation of this model.
Yeah, great. And I suppose that it's the best time to find first barriers in implementation. And what the key barriers you found?
Well, of course, when you want to implement something like this, you need to establish new organizational unit, you need additional resources and stuff like that. But also, one of the obstacles could be recognizing the need for such entity at the university, because, for instance, last week or 2 weeks ago, I was approached by 4 institutes together. So they joined. They say, we want to establish joint project management office or so. Those are university institutes that have basically not a clue about project management, genetic engineering, molecular biology, and everything. So they're not very much into management, let alone strategy and project management. They said, in order to improve ourselves, we need to develop, strategic project management. So could you help us on that? So there are some that recognize, but on the other hand, there are some faculties, I would not like to underline none of them, that say, well, basically, we don't need that. We know how to do that. We need not to, share, learn, whatever. When I was developing and talking about this model, similar to what you said, it really does seem very easy and very simple, nothing in particular new, pretty much, straightforward. But then the simple question is why it's not applied in most universities, because all these things like analysis, mission, vision, strategy, portfolio, projects, it's really simple, but still it's not out there. So we need to start from somewhere.
Absolutely. Thank you for this point. And also I see that our participants today make really great comments. And if you have time, also read these comments. And Eric, I see your hands, your comments.
Yeah, so thanks a lot, Vladimir. I think it's a very good approach and we should all follow it. Then what I observed, the main problem is culture. And the most famous professor in Agile at Stockholm Royal Institute of Technology says that among all sectors in Sweden, university has the lowest project management maturity. Only the government is lower in maturity. And if this applies for Sweden, I think these are the challenges that to change the culture. So even if we send the best of our students back into our own university, it takes time before this kind of thinking filters down. So how do you see this can we tackle this cultural change problem?
Well, yeah, what you said, and I think I had it in one slide, the human resources and the culture are really, really different at universities. And back in the old days, basically, I also dealt with change management, and my PhD is in one area regarding change management. So the tradition, which is often thought of something, that we need to present and to show off, is an obstacle for development. And the sentence is like, we are doing this for a number of years now, and you want to change it, are basically very difficult obstacles. The only way, I see actually a couple of ways how we can overcome that we are lucky to have a proactive and open to changes leader at the university that is willing to take a chance, to take a risk, to try something new, and to be willing to maybe not succeed, but nevertheless try. That's one approach. And the second approach that I already mentioned, that we have some sort of bottom-up need, that some institutes, faculty say, well, we don't know much about that, and we won't apply for, I don't know, Horizon or FP or Erasmus, whatever, and we don't have knowledge on that, so could you please help us develop that? And then we make these interdisciplinary connections at the universities and try to combine more sort of traditional sciences with the new management models and paradigms. So, and the best way would be to combine those two.
Yeah, thank you, Vladimir. And I suppose that now we come back to the theme of teaching students and professional project managers. And the next speaker is Dean Ronggui, professor of project management at the School of Management, Shandong University in China, member of the Ministry of Education's Engineering Management Education Advisory Committee, and the scientific coordinator of the IPMA. Hi, Dean. Glad to see you.
Yeah. So let me check my screen. So, I can't sure. Maybe this one is better. Yeah.
Yeah, great. We see your presentation.
Okay. So hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Maybe in China, it's afternoon. In some other country, maybe it's morning. So my name is Dean Ronggui. It's just somewhat different from the Western name style. So Dean is my family name. So we always put the bigger at the head. Yeah, so Dean is a family name and Ronggui is my personal name. So I'm teaching in Shandong University, one of the largest universities in China, teaching project management for bachelor students, master students, and PhD students, and other on-job training. So I'm a research coordinator for IPMA now, and a member of a teaching advisory committee, member of the engineering management major. It's belong to the Ministry of Education in China. So today I would like to share you some based on some basic function of education or universities. So it's 5 topics: degree education, and training, certification, research, and service. Yeah. So about the degree education, we have undergraduate education programs in China. We have a Bachelor of Management, so Bachelor of Engineering and Engineering Management. We have 447 universities. Maybe it's a little more than this number. And some majors named as engineering cost. We have 133 universities. But unfortunately, we have not, if ever, the major title as a project management in China. Yeah. So we always use engineering management. So maybe it's real estate management, engineering cost. It's not a project management yet. So it's a kind of pity. And about the graduate education, we have professional degrees, such as a Master of Engineering Management. We always use this one, the Engineering Management. We have 237 universities and Master of Project Management in Engineering. So here we found Project Management finally, but it's not Master of Project Management, but Master of Project Management in Engineering. So we have 161 universities around the country. And on the other side, we have the academic degrees. It basically is a full-time degree. Yeah, so it's a management science and engineering. We have some major, maybe it's a sub-major. It's a project management. It's not so big. And in business administration, yeah, it's only some courses. It's not a major, not a degree about project management. Yeah. So of course, more and more universities in China now regulating international students for bachelor's degree. Yeah, it's related about project management. But we have few universities have the bachelor degrees for just only university, only in international students. Yeah, but we have several universities. They have master degree. It's a project management related. It's just for international students, such as in my university. We initiated this program in 2015. Now it's 6 years. Yeah, we have more than 30 students from more than 30 countries. We're teaching in English for the students. And every year from 2016, we have a project management related competition. It's more than, maybe now it's 50 or 70 universities participating in this kind of competition. And about 500 students join this kind of competition. And one or some of the competition was sponsored by the Minister of Education. So it's a project management related. Actually, it's engineering management. Yeah. So it's a basic education. For the training, we have some senior training program for executive and managers, senior managers, but it's not just train the senior managers, project management. There's always a project management course in the training program. Yeah. So, but now there's more and more training programs. They want to add project management in their program. Yeah. So for the senior managers, yeah, for the chairs of the board, even, and the general managers. Yeah. Of course, for the project management is many popular. I will introduce later. And for EMBA students, the EDP is just a training program, but EMBA we will issue a degree, for the Executive Master of Business Administration. So some universities will take project management as a specific characteristic or a kind of advantage. Yeah, they have several courses, project management related. And of course, CIOB, more than 10 universities in China, they will issue some certification. Yeah. So talking about the certification, I'm not mean to tell you how many project management certified project managers in China. Yeah, I will tell you the number maybe later. So here is universities, they have some program, the teaching program or education program, degree program that get certified. Yeah. So we have now 8 universities in China that got the Global Accreditation Center for Project Management Education Program. It's issued by PMI, it's not by IPMA yet. Yeah. And of course, PMP certification, and more than 30 universities in China, they were cooperated with the IPMA Member Association, Project Management Research Committee, China. So all the universities, if they have some program project management related, I mean, maybe the engineering management related, so the students are encouraged to apply for IPMA Level D certification. Yeah. So because we will review, so the knowledge points have been covered by the program, the teaching program, and now more than 10,000 people certified in IPMA 4 level certification system. And in China, we have more than 25 IPMA 4 level certification assessors from universities. They're basically the professors and maybe associate professors or some lecturers. Yes, it's more than 25. It's not so many in China. We totally we have about 80 assessors. Yeah, so it's less than half, maybe 1/3 of the assessors are from universities. And talking about the research, now the research in project management is becoming more and more popular, especially focused on some, just like Eric mentioned, is public sectors, such as public-private partnership. So it's a very hot topic in China, in research area. So we have a union or committee with 128 universities. So they're focused on public-private partnership projects. And the other very hot topic is digitalization. We call it the new infrastructure projects. Yeah. So Chinese government will invest maybe $5 trillion about this kind of new infrastructure projects. Yeah, it's a digital 5G and some communication, robot, and smart manufacturing, such kind of projects. And the third hot topic is about the ecology. It's environment protection, some air pollution governance system, yeah, and sustainability. Yeah, such kind of project is many universities, many researchers doing such kind of projects. And the fourth hot topic is about the mega project. It's a very complicated project, yeah, because in China we have so many very big mega projects like bridge and airport and power plant and such a kind of projects. So it's very popular. And the fifth hot topic is about the innovation project. It's a collaborative innovation projects. Is very, very popular. So about the research area is not industry. So the project governance is becoming more and more hot in China research area. And the other is about risk management. Yeah. So simulation, such kind of research is becoming more and more popular. So some of the research was supported by the China National Nature Science Funding. Yeah, so it's a top rank of the research funding, recognized by all of the universities. So some academic journals are very well known in China, especially in the young researchers, such as the International Journal of Project Management and Project Management Journal. So many universities take such kind of journals as performance criteria. So whether or not you can publish a paper on this kind of journal. And we have two local project management related journals. It's Project Management Review I'm the chief editor of this journal, and the project management technology. So project management review is somewhat like a Harvard Business Review. It combines academic research and practical experience or best cases. So project management technology is somewhat like a little bit pure academic. Yeah. And we have several publishing houses that focused on publishing project management related books. Yeah. So basically we have 4 big publishing houses in China. So every year they have hundreds of books related project management related to be published. And of course, research awards, yeah, in China, issued by some the Ministry of Science and Technology, so and by some province level. Yeah, so they're encouraging researchers to project management research. Surveys, more and more Chinese professors in universities, they have projects to provide service for industries. Yeah, some of the universities even they have their own companies, consulting companies or project management service companies, so operated by teachers. So many big projects such as Shanghai Expo, Beijing Daxing International Airport, Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge projects, basically consulted so by some project management companies operated by professors, such as in Tongji University, in Tsinghua University, in Tianjin University, and in maybe Nanjing University. They support a lot of big projects in China. So the teachers have different kinds of roles. They are real business guys and they're academic researchers. So some students, they will take internship in their companies, and they have some full-time employees from the society. And we have many project management information or software companies. Yeah, so they can set some joint laboratories with universities. So in China, university about all the degrees or programs project management related will be supported by some software company. So such as a Beam, some say 3P, and some local project management software. Yeah, and of course the internships for students is very popular. So I just want to show a tendency. It's not about the IPMA, but PMI is PMP. So in 2000, this year, in 2000, in China we have only 316 people taking the certification. Yeah, it's a PMP certification is in 2000. But to 2019, in total, we have 640,000 people. So about 1/3 of the total number of the certified PMP, yeah, in the world. So it's becoming more and more popular. But talking about the challenge, so just I mentioned before, we haven't yet some measure, some degree just named as a project management yet. So it's a basic information about the project management teaching or education in China now. So
thank you, Dean. Yeah. If somebody have question, it's a really right time to ask them. Okay, my first question, very simple. What's about your focus? Your focus about teaching inside country, inside China, or you also thinking about the global agenda and global students and so on?
Yeah, so my energy is basically focused on I can't say it's a focused, maybe it's a diversity. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so one part of my time, of course, is teaching in university, especially in my university and in some other universities for the bachelor degree students, because Chinese Ministry of Education require the full professor to teach at least 48 hours for undergraduate students 1 year. Yeah, so I have to fulfill this kind of requirement. And now we are cooperating with some big companies to develop the new generation project management system, especially Huawei. So next week I will spend 7 days in Huawei to discuss what kind of project governance platform. So as a first step to support the Huawei's next development steps. Yeah. So, and we encourage some even middle school to have some project management education for the teenagers. Yeah. So for high school students, so it's a very welcome by the parents. Yeah. It's not only about the some specific knowledge, but how to teach the teenagers to communicate, to do teamwork, and to control the process, control the budget, and to enhance the value, the objectives. So it's a kind, and other is so I spent much of my time to develop some best practice research. Yeah. So yeah, so we want to, of course, we want to ask your support to set a global best project management best practice center. So I think it's very, very useful and valuable. Yeah, we can teach the students in universities with the global best practices.
Okay, great. Thank you. For me, for my opinion, it's really great example cooperation between industry and university and so on. And Vladimir, for example, when university give great value for industry. Thank you for this example. Eric, your question or comment?
Yes, nice to see you, Ding. Could you give us an update on the IPMA research conference? I was hoping in the past to go to Jinan in June, but now of COVID, I will not travel anywhere. Is this going on or what's the status?
Yeah, so IPMA research will be online. The conference will be 2 days from the 12th to 13th of June, but we have 4 days activities. The first 2 days is hack days. Yeah, so the program have been updated. So especially, I'd like to introduce some special sessions this year. So this year we have a research award winners panel. Yeah, so we got achievement award winner, and some other outstanding contributions and research award winners to share their research projects. And I asked several editors-in-chiefs of the top-ranked journals to set a special panel of editors-in-chiefs, yeah, about project management. So they will give 1.5 hours to share their ideas how to get your research to be published. Yeah. So the program have been updated on the website of IPMA.
So maybe the invitation can be shared again.
Yeah. You can find from the homepage the link, of IPMA.
Okay, great. And
you're welcome to.
For our participant, Robert asked, and who is going to pay for IPMA Level D certification course from universities?
Yeah, because Levels D certification is the application fee is not so high, so they will be paid by the students themselves.
Oh, great! 10,000 students.
It's only maybe 600 Chinese yuan. It's not so expensive.
Yeah, great. And one more question. It's a lot of students, and you told about a lot of assessors in China. How work is the system of training of teachers and administrators built in your university? It's inside university, it's like big faculty or something else?
Oh, yes. Actually, in China, every year we have some teaching competition. Yeah, it's organized by university, by the province, and by the national level. The different levels is a kind of great honor if you got the champion of the competition. So, for example, this year we have the first years of teaching innovation competition, so organized by the Ministry of Education. So I got the first rank in my university. So, so we have the training and how to teach, and every week we have a seminar about the teaching for the young teachers. Yeah. So of course, the Chinese university encouraging the school certification.
Great. It sounds really great. Okay, and also in the end, I want to ask all our participants, all our speakers, really short question. Thank you for your speeches today about context and about about models and about your experience, and what we need to do to share local experience for global level. What do you think? Because in science, it's really cool to work because a lot of conference and so on. What we need to do to share best practice in project management inside universities, what do you think? Mladen? Mladen, Dink, Vladimir, what do you think?
Yeah, Veniamin, can you repeat? I just
Yeah, of course.
Heard the last part of the question.
Yeah, what we need to do to share best practice local level to global level about university project management. What do you think? What we need to do?
Well, I think the communities of practices, such as special interest groups, are just the place to share the practice. So basically, at our website, you can register for the SIG. Maybe you can share the website, and I will do that later in the chat. And basically what we need to do is to grow the community of from the education sector, of professors, researchers, professionals. Also professors also take a lot of part in professional and private sector, right? Either as part of their boards or actually doing project management. And we need to benchmark, we need to exchange good practices, we need to exchange our approaches. And I think this is the beauty of communities such as these. This one is that we can freely exchange without fear of being competitors amongst ourselves, right? So I think I invite all of the people, and we have quite a good attendance at this conference to join, and that we start a critical discourse and start even exchanging good approaches, good practice. This is what I think. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
and
if
also
I may add up,
yeah,
maybe this mainly go to Mladen and Eric and people from the EU area. Maybe we should think of and apply for some sort of, I don't know, Erasmus or similar project. So connecting universities across Europe to exchange knowledge, but also working together on developing one new solid model for project management at universities.
Great idea, Vladimir. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah, we have several maybe experience or suggestions. So one is maybe we can set a special conference or forum about the education or teaching, maybe supported by IPMA. We hosted by different universities in different countries every year. And the second, we can make some students or staff faculty exchange program. Yeah. So for example, in China, every year we have some summer schools. We encouraging to invite the professors from other country to give 1 or 2 weeks teaching for the summer school students. So it's encouraged, and the university has the budget to pay for the traveling, maybe give some wages. Yeah. So I think it's a program, so they can get the credits, so accepted by the university. Yeah, so the students encouraged to have 1 year in my university. For example, the students are encouraged to have 1 year overseas experience. Yeah, so the students can support them. Yeah. And the other, maybe we can publish a white book anyway. Yeah, about the teaching, tend to say what kind of hot topics, what kind of research topics, and we can promote some even new researchers. Yeah. So I think we can set a platform to promote.
Yeah, great, Dink. And I just thinking about how Vladimir said that we know all tools and all methods, but sometimes we need more. We need to be more active and productive in our ways. Yeah, always is really cool. I suppose we need more conferences and more people in our community, and also maybe some like financial grants like Erasmus and something else. It's really great ideas. And also, thank you, Mladen. I write our website, IPMA 6 Smarter You, and if you register here, you will have absolutely all information about our news, events, and so on. Okay, I told in the beginning that we have 1 hour and a half, and dear participant, our webinar has come to an end, and I thank you for your active question and your interest. And of course, I want to say thank you for our speakers. I suppose that it's really cool information, and we need to thinking about this. And today we speak about local to global, and I feel all webinar that Vladimir or Mladen or Dink, when they told their speech, that it's also work for my country, for our university. Absolutely, we have similar challenges, similar tools, and so on, and we need to share this practice more and more, I think. And I hope to see you all at the Congress on 21-23 September in St. Petersburg. Please also be reminded that you can view the Congress program and purchase tickets on the Congress website. Link also in chat. And if somebody wants to say something, it's a good time, your comments or just your wishes. Okay, yeah, Eric.
Yeah, I think it's very important for us to meet up if we can get the vaccine. So even if I'm a part of the online program for the Agile stream, nevertheless, I would ideally be able to host that from St. Petersburg and to be able to see you all in person in between, because the personal meeting is so important, and this is what we lack now in Corona. And so looking forward to the opportunity and keep my fingers crossed to get vaccinated.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really true that we need offline meeting, absolutely. Because online, I suppose that we share a lot of information, but we need discussion, big discussion, short discussion, discussion with tea, with beer, and so on. And we need this. Yeah, great. Okay, thank you all participants. See you on Congress, and see you on our next event, Smarter You SIG. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.